I found my universal CRT test adapter, and I'm going to try and actually test the emissions. But I was looking through these books, and these are quite intense. This, I might need to scan this. This is something, I don't know if there's any copies of this out there. Keep in mind, this is 1954. This is sort of the like I said, sort of the first commercial, short-lived color television. Probably the first in the world. It's not the first TV, but it's single TV as in itself, but it is the first model released. So this here, and that's with the chassis. Look at those big selenium rectifiers. Yeah, I might need to see if I can scan this. There's quite a following for these CT100 sets. They're probably the highest demand set there is out there. I'm more into the late 60s Zenith color stuff. But this, these are the service books that are really just cover the set in depth as in depth can get. There's really some priceless stuff right here and should be digitized immediately so it doesn't continue to yellow. This is the real moment of truth here. This did sound like it was a high-hour set from the way the gentleman described it, so it's kind of freaky because, it's not mine, and I'm a little bit, oh crap. What? That's the cutoff? It pegs? What I'm looking for is blue glow, and I don't see any, and it pegs the cutoff? Holy crap, this thing is like new old stock. This is like, really? It's that freaking strong? Holy crap. The way the guy made it sound like it, with the missing knobs and saying it's a family set, makes it sound like it's evening news and Sunday and Saturday morning cartoons forever, to the point where it'd be worn out, But yeah, look at that. Holy crap. What? Really? So here's the real test, of course. Yeah, learn to talk, dude. The real test, let's go down on the filament voltage. I mean, I'm already down. I'm not even, but let's go down to 4.7 volts and see what happens. This is like a life test. Wow. Let's go down a little bit more. Probably be closer to 3.5, 4 volts. Easy like Sunday morning. So, I think I've convinced the owner of this set to send the CRT separate by a courier type of deal, because yeah, this is sort of a rare thing, I think, here to find. But that's, you know, our climate out here, our kind of subtropical climate, these things I think survive a lot longer than they do in the hot, humid, or, you know, cold and dry, large temperature swings. Our environment kind of lends to things lasting a little bit longer out here on the West Coast, except for when you're on the coast in the salty air, which I'm not. I'm sure some watching this are thinking, resurrect it, power it up, put it on a dim bulb, put it on a Variac, bring it up. Well, first of all, it's not mine, and second, this isn't some toilet set out of an abandoned building somewhere out in the desert that's going to be torn down. This is a thing of beauty, and these are highly sought after. It's a very special set. 1954 color TV is not something that you come up with every day. So this does have degaussing. See that coil right there with the red wires going to it? Which is kind of interesting because they kind of got away with the automatic or integrated degaussing, you know, up until later. What's interesting is the picture shows a bunch of selenium rectifiers, and I don't see those in here. And actually, it looks like they're on the back of that thing in that cage. So it looks like they're inside here, which they are. Yeah, can you imagine powering this up and causing the vertical output transformer or the flyback or something to go open? That would hurt. Totally unobtainable parts. U-Ship is coming tomorrow to pick up the set, so I'm going to extract the CRT now and we'll take a look at that. In the previous video there were a few comments. Why are you taking the CRT out? It's probably safer in the set. Well, the last 3 sets that I shipped via U-Ship were necked. I explicitly told them do not let the back of the set bounce off the wall of the truck, and they did just that. So we're not going to take a chance. The owner of the set has requested this, and he's going to try and find sort of a courier service, or, you know, someone that's familiar with handling delicate items to transport the CRT. The other thing that came up was maybe the reason why the emissions are so good is because it's slightly gassy. That is possible. However, given what the getters look like, and the fact that there was no blue glow, checking the cutoff with it all the way up, I have a pretty good feeling we're good here. And there was another comment asking about where's the clover leaf for the convergence. I believe this uses electrostatic convergence. I'm not sure. The yoke is coming apart on this. I'm going to have to be very gentle. So I might try and address a few more of the comments. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this set. I'm just on these sets, I'm simply trying to help a fellow collector out. One thing that's nice about this set is the top comes off very easy. So this should come out pretty easy. We got to lay it on its face, and I believe these are what hold it on. You just loosen these up and pop them out, but very gently. And I think this has to come out here. I believe these set up the convergence. I think. I don't know. But I like this. How do you get to that screw to get this thing off? You remove the little plug. I like things like that. Here's sort of a better look at the getters. They might be slightly reduced. It's hard to tell. This one looks like it might have come out to here. And the rear cups, now I don't know if that applies to this type of CRT, but the rear cups are still silver. I would think this would be a 0. Is that one? It's hard to tell. I'm not really familiar with these tubes. I've got the yoke packed here in its own box. I'm sure this would not be easy to find. It's like an old car. It's so easy to service, so easy to take apart. None of these were tight. They weren't quite this loose, but basically very loose. So, I don't know. Just look at this chassis. This is 475 watts of carbon generating goodness right here. And every one of these pots are frozen. This would be like a resurrection almost. Look at how many tubes are in this thing. Maximum heat. The yoke is double boxed in this with the hardware. The convergence is in this, in foam. I put the back on backwards so they couldn't snap that beautiful neck cap off. And I think we're good to go here. Okay, the driver's here. He prefers not to take the tube. Yeah. So it's off to its new home in the transit. The CRT will ship via a separate courier. Went to Home Depot looking for boxes, and this was the best thing I could find, and I had to buy one of these folding chairs to get it, but this is about the only thing I could find that was deep enough. So what I'm going to do is on the bottom, I'm going to put a layer of this hard foam, and then on top of that, I'm going to put soft foam, and I'm going to kind of cushion the whole CRT in soft foam, face down, of course. And then we'll get the box measured up and get it trimmed. But yeah, this was the best option I could get. All right, so here it is. And that box extends longer than the neck, so it should help protect it, but it's going by private courier anyway. See, the thing with U-Ship is you don't know who's shipping it. They probably don't have any kind of insurance. If their truck turns over and rolls off the highway and burns in a ditch, you just never hear anything again. That's why for something like this, you have to go with someone who's insured and, you know, will get it there with a decent chance. So that's what we're doing. We're going for someone who transfers valuables, you know, transports valuables around the country. Like I said, it's going with a private courier, so it'll be good. I'm more worried about a bouncy, rough road than the thing being dropped on its side. So this is the 15 Pt2 loaded into the private courier. The vehicle is a 23 Outback with 60 miles on it. So it's getting a first-class ride to its owner.
They're padding. I was like, well, now it's just suspended inside. But it gets kind of big.
It's perfect because it's kind of in the center of the car, so it's perfect. You couldn't transport it any better than this. There's no better situation.
Yeah, I'm not going to move it until I get there, so it'll be just sitting just
right.
Exactly like this.
Right. The only thing I would worry about, like I said, is if someone was to tip it so rapidly that it was to crack the neck, but it's in there pretty tight.
Yeah, no, it won't move.
Primitive video editing, SVHS.
Yeah. All old stuff. I mean, your phone does more than that.
I know. Chalkboard. So I came back to the house where I picked up the CT100 and cut a deal on those resistors and stuff. And I'm waiting for the, I brought a box. I guess I'm just going to dump them in a box. It's like an old automotive scope. Oscilloscope. 2215. A lot of this is going to go to the swap meet. So this is like a heated, I think this might be for potting transformers. This is a wax. Stick that thing in there again. If you caught part one, you'll recall this huge cabinet assembly in the garage that was filled with mostly electronic components. This gentleman worked for Hughes Aircraft, and the owner contacted me and said, come back and get it. They're going to demolish the house. So I ended up taking the whole entire cabinet assembly, and these are the drawers. What I'm going to do today is pull the drawers out one at a time. If it's something interesting, I'm going to video it and share it with the world. So this entire little car is just filled, solid. I just grabbed everything, just everything. I was in a hurry. It was just like a smash and grab. I can go through it at a later date and find homes or dispose of what I can't use. Circuit breakers, wafer switches. These are actually in here brand new wafer assemblies like this. If you wanted to redo a wafer switch, capacitors, circuit breakers. This is interesting. This is almost like part of a motor winding or a transformer winding deal. Like count your turns. This is going to come over here to the side. Because that is something that someday, but yeah, a lot of switches, not really useful stuff. I'm going to number these and use this video for my own reference. I know these look at my junk videos are kind of ultra boring, so just number them right here. We'll just do every single drawer, high speed. Drawer number 2 is empty. Drawer number 3 is a bunch of these Sprague vitamin Q capacitors. I don't know what you would use these for, resurrections. Oh, look at that. In drawer number 4, we just have modern sheetrock screws and wood screws. In drawer number 5, we have knobs. We have fuse holders and some more of these wafer switches, more knobs, circuit breaker. In drawer 6, we have high voltage capacitors, doorknob capacitors, 30 kilovolts. These are heavy. Plastic film capacitors, more old capacitors, you know, because old capacitors are so great, you know. Fab mica 0.1 at 6,000 volts. 0.1 at 6,000 volts. And then here we have a bunch of doorknob capacitors brand new in the box. Look at that. To open one of those. 500 picofarad at 30 kilovolts. Now where this would be good is if you had a situation where you had the DAG missing on a CRT. And you needed, because the DAG acts as a capacitor and it filters the high voltage on a TV, so you could use one of these. These are interesting. I believe this is a 10-turn potentiometer, and when you rotate it, so you can set a value. You know, I guess you could write down your known values. So when you rotate it, it does this like a analog clock, but it's just a potentiometer. In drawer 7, it looks like we have nichrome wire, more of these wafer switches. So many wafer switches. Then we have switches, solenoid, crystal ovens. So these keep crystals warm and stabilized. Let me open one. So there you go. There's the heating element wrapped around there, and that's where the crystal plugs in, I guess. Can only assume, and it says 6.3 volts. In 8, we have sprinkler heads. Old Champion sprinkler heads. Now this is something that is completely National Lumber. Man, that was back in the 80s. This is something that's completely unusable due to our drought out here. Okay, this is number 9, and this fuses. These are some hardcore tube shields right here. I don't know if that's lead, but this is significantly heavy. So that's 9, and then 10 we have these things, booties for alligator clips. Ooh, boy, that's too big for a horizontal output tube. That's too bad. That might fit. That might fit a 6JE6. These are plate caps. More of these wafer switches. I do not understand what the obsession with wafer switches or need for them was, but these are like little thumb screw thingies that the plastic is all dissolving on. Is that an 8-pin? Is that a standard octal tube socket? Feet are good. Octal tube sockets are good. Behind door 11 we have fuses, those old primitive automotive fuses. We have light bulbs. I don't think these are necessarily automotive light bulbs. Certainly does not look automotive to me. Any neon in here? That is a neon. How cool. I got a whole bunch of light bulbs here. These are 120 volt at 6 watt. I don't know, a vacuum cleaner or something. Number 12, we have hose clamps and pegs to hang stuff. Ooh, rain drip. Washers for your hose that are probably, oh, like one of these things. Filtering washers for your hose that the 420 crowd takes out and puts in their bong. Number 13, and I'm trying to do this high speed because I know these look at my crap videos are boring. RF connectors, a lot of PL259 and BNC stuff here. More random connectors that should all go to the gold recycler because I'll never use. This is number 14. We have a bunch of these that's kind of cool. Banana plugs. These are good. These are useful. Audio and test equipment stuff. In 15, we have a bunch of random capacitors and some semiconductors, standoffs. 16 is that a handle for a drill? These are like filters, I think, air filters. Semiconductors. What kind of semiconductor? Those are interesting. More circuit breakers. What are these? Ooh, high voltage. Ooh. Ooh, excitement. Ooh. Ooh. What do you want to bet this is a 20,000 volt diode? Ooh. Those are... This is all aerospace stuff. Those are coming out of there. God, I got so excited there I lost track. That was... I don't even know what that was. This is standby. Okay, this was 16. This is 17. And this has some interesting stuff. Beryllium oxide transistor insulators. These are... beryllium oxide is not a health supplement for humans. And here we have capacitors in the form of 1 microfarad at 100 volt. And it looks like we have a bunch of silicone high voltage wire in here. Now, there were, in the previous video, there were a bunch of big plastic capacitors in here. I took those and put them somewhere else, just like I'm going to take these and put these somewhere else. This stuff works good for resurrections. These are 2N3303 with a date code of 6612, old transistors. And that's almost looks like the Soviet packaging. In 18, we have the, I think they're like little monolithic. They used them a lot in aerospace stuff. High Q monolithic capacitors. They're low voltage. In 19, we have some silver mica, but not much, not enough to be worth. And in 20, we have a bunch of these American made. I don't know if these are tantalum or Ledix. I think they could be tantalum. I don't think they used much electrolytic in Hughes Aircraft. Too unreliable. These are unreliable too. These are short. 21 is more capacitors. I think these are fairly high quality. Again, a lot of values we really wouldn't use. 600 volts at 2.2 microfarads. I mean, this is like 400 volts at 2.2 microfarads. This is like weird stuff. And these, I'd be curious to test these, you know, use them in resurrections. 0.1 at 600 volts. And they look like they're probably paper and oil or hard sealed paper and metal. I don't know. In 22, these are kind of interesting. 1000 volt. These are like surface mount capacitors. Old 0.08. And I don't know what's up with the soda straw. And then 0.052, I guess, at 1000 volts. And we have some Taiwanese capacitors here. We have some mil-spec resistors. These are all weird values with gold tinned leads. And then carbon resistors. And this was 22. 23. The hell are those? They look like more high voltage diodes. HVO KX50 or HVD KX50. Wonder what those are. Got some transformer. Looks like someone cut the transformer open. That's interesting. Boy, I wish they potted the Zenith vertical outputs like that. They would never fail. More random capacitors and old TO3 style beryllium oxide insulators. Let's get our grinder out and our cocaine straw. Let's see, 24. We have capacitors. Lighting is getting jacked up. What do we have here? Oh, what is this? A beryllium oxide sheet? Jeez. That's some lethal stuff. So that was 24, the beryllium oxide. 25 is just some random old, are these inductors or resistors? Some weird capacitors, some crystals. .380 kilohertz. I'm not even going to number this one. These are empty. Beautifully built, man. This guy built these. Very nice. Glad I got this whole thing. I just got to find a place to put it. Okay, these are just resistors, just carbon resistors. And I have hundreds of thousands of these. And I got to say that over the years that I've been working on stuff, resurrections and that, I hardly ever find resistors that are so far out of whack that something won't work or that it affects the performance. So these are almost sort of useless to me in a way. I mean, they're handy to have, but like I said, you know, what's that one, 30K, 11K, brown 1 with 3 zeros. So it's good to learn to read these things like sight unseen. What is this? 10 ohms, 100, 10 ohms. 272, 2.7K, red, brown, 221, so 220 ohms. These are 270 microfarads at 10 volts, and I think they're tantalum. I think these are tantalum capacitors. Strain reliefs. I got a little box here with some goodies in it. Not really sure what the point is of this, but okay. Okay, now we got these flashlight battery boxes or whatever. So I have no idea what's in these. Ooh. Ooh. You call this light bulb sockets and tube sockets. Ooh, here's a, is that an 8-pin male tube socket? Those would be kind of handy for making adapters. Here's the next box, and what the hell is this? Okay, here's 3, box 3, more tube socket madness here. least I think that's what these are. Enough 8-pin stuff here to Klinko-twinkulate the Skrinky sprinkler. What do we have here? Yeah, see, this is like a bench test my tube. Here's the next box. What do we have here? National Panasonic. What are these heads? Like 8-track. Those 8 tracks. Look at how good a condition the foam is in. The next box, this all looks like stuff he might have built. Look at all the gold. Everything is gold plated. This is what you had before you had breadboards, I guess. Alright, is anyone still out there? This has gone on so long, even I'm starting to get bored. A lot of this should just go straight into the trash. Ooh, Scroofy Malooper's Diboople-bloofer. These are probably good. These could probably be used for, even though the wire's like going bye-bye. Terminators for BNC. Ooh, cord for lighting. Oh, here's an old pencil. Kimmy sealed. Eagle. Yeah, these are probably useful. Even though they're like all covered with fungus on the tip. Oh boy. Nothing but the best. 2500 volts at 024. Okay, what do we have here? Inventory. Circuit boards wrapped in aluminum foil. Guess that's one way to protect your CMOS. Fresh grilled out of the oven. Variable ceramic trimmer capacitors. Depending on the value, these could be useful. Another one of these. Missed these 2 boxes. A bunch of interesting potentiometers. And a bunch of ceramic insulators. Could do some really nice work on some of these TVs. Getting into a lot of stuff that needs to go bye-bye. It's got to be pots. Ooh, more of these. More of these. I got to figure out what these are. I like high voltage diodes. They make good replacements for tube diodes. Edge connectors, DB9. What the hell am I ever going to do with this stuff? 2 more of these cabinets, drawers. You would think these are motor start capacitors, but they're not. more doorknob capacitors. This guy had a real fetish for these. I might have to put these couple of these over for my resurrection stuff that I need to get back into. 500 micropuffs at 30 kilocrack. Check out these operational amplifiers. Probably worth money to the right person, whoever that would be. So what is this thing? Look at this homemade board in here with all this wire wrapping. Let me get this. Because the blambulance be making the dog bark. So what are these chips? SN74532. He made this. I can tell by the style of resistors and stuff. This dude that owned the CT100, he made this. And look at this. Could you imagine putting something together like this? I mean, the desperation. All hand wire wrapped. Is that a processor or memory or what do you call that? Instructions, EEPROM, MCS 6530. This homemade for whatever this thing was right here. Look at everything is in a socket. Oh, what's it say here? The Quiet Mother. How about this? 7-pin tube sockets. I think I did find the spec sheet on these, and these are 12.5 and 20 kilovolt diodes. It said 150 nanosecond, 500 milliamps. I can't quite believe they're 500 milliamps, but these will be useful in TVs. And if these right here are 5 kilovolts, we make damper diodes out of those. A few other things. I did grab that VTVM, not that I need any more of those, and I grabbed this, which I guess is a little power, voltmeter. And there was some other interesting stuff. Parts. Is that just like all blown out? Let's see, is that better or worse? I love stuff like this, all the socketed transistors. A lot of big capacitors and big old 80s computer power supply stuff. There was something in here that he made. Maybe it was this? Yeah, this is the way they used to build stuff at Hughes. See how all the transistors are in sockets? All handmade. I don't know, this looks like a little RF tuning assembly. Just a ton of stuff. Oh, Nixies. Nixie tubes. Had to get those. They're not socketed, they're soldered directly into the board. It would be neat to make something with them if they're good. Just tons and tons of stuff. Big capacitors. 71,000 at 21 volts. I'm sorry, at 25 volts. And I did grab this. I don't know what I'll ever use it for, but the hoarder in me just would not allow it to go to the dump. this guy's kind of moved in and replaced the cats, which were all really old and have recently sort of disappeared over the past couple months. And I don't know, I didn't solicit this at all. The little bunny just sort of appeared here out of nowhere, and somebody gave me some food. It's very friendly and kind of better than a cat in a lot of ways. What it leaves behind doesn't get on your shoe and ruin your day. It's quiet, doesn't fight. But I guess the one kind of utilitarian part of a cat, which is getting mice and rats, this thing doesn't do that. So I kind of like the way the ears rotate. It's kind of a cool built-in feature. Little microphones on a swivel.